There are bran cakes in the glove compartment. Oh.
I used to really be down on myself a lot with regards to this channel. There never really was a lot of structure, like ever. I always wanted to do gaming content. I was so inspired by people like Markiplier, Jacksepticeye, who are still huge inspirations for me today. I still adore both of them very much. They seem like such cool guys, very amazing people. And I really wanted to kind of follow in those footsteps and start my own gaming content and do my own thing. But there was always kind of something in the way. I mean, granted, there were a couple of videos that sort of popped off here and there, and I did really well for a long period of time. There was several thousands of subscribers. Many of you are still here to this day. But the reality is, I never had a lot of focus. I was really always kind of a variety channel. And what I found out about YouTube later on down the road is that YouTube doesn't really like variety channels. They like channels with clear, defined themes. And I was never posting enough content, um, and I was never posting enough specific content to sort of satisfy that requirement. And so I never really got a lot of visibility. And that's continued to haunt me with this project, with Brand Cake, with this channel, to this very day. It still haunts me. I don't ever expect this channel to ever be big. When I was younger, I always had this sort of naive notion that like somehow if I just powered through it, I'd figure it out, and I would have this channel become something successful, something that I really wanted it to be, something that really meant something. And as I've gotten older, I've kind of come to a couple of different realizations. Realization number one is that's never going to happen. This channel will always kind of be, what is that hair floating around? Hello? What the hell? Did you guys see that? That wasn't a ghost. That was just like a piece of fluff or something. And that's so yeah, that's one of the realizations is that like no, I'm not going to get there. That's not going to happen. And the other realization is, the definition of success is not as objective as I thought it was when I was a kid. The reality is I have still made a channel that has survived and has had content uploaded to it for 11 years. That's a big deal. 11 years of my life have been documented in some way, shape, or form, whether it be just me playing video games or me talking about things or me starting vlogs. There are memories that I can look back on. I've archived pieces of my history, pieces of my life, without even realizing that I did it, and and that's a really big deal, especially now in a time like this. I'm really going through a lot right now. We made the decision finally to uh, to sell this house and to leave California. Now, back in 2015, I made a video called "Going to California," and it chronicled sort of my transition from life up in Oregon, which is where I grew up, where I spent a lot of my time, back down here. And I've lived here for the last 11 years, basically nonstop. And so, of course, I've chronicled like details of that as well. But everything is just so different now. And it's funny. I look back on that video, on the Going to California video, and I see who I was then, and I was just like such a kid. And it's crazy to me that I've grown up so much here and I've learned so much. But it's also crazier still that I've wanted this for such a long time. I can kind of look back with rose tinted glasses because that's kind of what nostalgia does. After a while, it kind of just tints your worldview on things to a more positive light. But the reality was, I wasn't very happy about coming back here. I've never really acclimated very well to like the social climate, the literal climate. It's just too hot here for me. But I've always just kind of felt like an outsider, and that's always kind of been my curse. I've always just sort of felt like an outsider everywhere I go. It's been particularly bad here, and it's strange because I've wanted this for so long, and now that it's actually here, and we're packing up boxes, and my desk is an absolute disaster, and there's a tower of boxes to my right here that you can't see. Um, but now that all of that's happening, I'm filled with so much doubt about even leaving. I don't even know if I want to leave, but I have to now because we've already made the move. Like it's happening. We've sold the house. We're in escrow. Like it's gonna happen. And I have a lot of guilt about leaving this place behind. I have a lot of guilt about leaving the legacy of my grandma behind. This was her house, and it's hard to come to terms with that reality that I'm leaving this place. This place that was so formative for so many years. But I've also kind of forgotten in all of this that um, Oregon had a lot of formative years too. It's my home just as much as this is, and I've really wanted to go back there for a long, long time. And the reality with this channel, like I said, it was weird going back to it because I wanted to see where I was at in my head at that time, and I knew that I wasn't in a great place. I knew I wasn't very happy with the decision that was being made, sort of by force. It wasn't really up to me. I just had to leave due to like financial reasons and um, you know just the struggle. But I look back at that guy, that 20-year-old guy, and it's like, yeah, I definitely peaked. Like, that was, the best looking that I'm ever gonna look. That was the most engaged I'm ever gonna be. And like all of that's gone now. Like I am merely a husk of what brand cake once was. And that's okay. Like I don't mind that. I am working on other projects. I firmly believe if there were ever any eyes to come back to this channel, if I ever did, well, not if I ever, I am still steadily uploading content even to this day. And as I continue to do that, if there's ever eyes, it'll be because of other things that I've done, other projects that have kind of led people over here. It won't be because of the merits of this channel alone. That's just not going to happen. Like that's never going. It's too late. The ship has sailed. And I look at that young guy who wanted that so bad, and who wanted a lot of things, and it feels like some of those things were kind of taken from him. Um, and now I kind of have this opportunity to sort of take them back, and I'm scared. I am so scared of this trip. I'm more scared than I was coming down here. Um, there's so much more responsibility I have on my shoulders now, in my 30s than I ever did in my 20s. And I have 3 cats that I have to move. And they're all going to be screaming and stressed out in the back seat. And I have, you know, a spouse to worry about. I have, so many boxes and books and things. I've got to drive 1,000 miles. I've never driven 1,000 miles in my entire life. Um, it's terrifying. It's so scary. But I want to document this because I feel like the one bit of success that I've had with this channel is the fact that I have an archive. It is the fact that I have a record of these things, of these events, these very big, important events in history, in my personal history. And I have the opportunity not only to share them with people who care, I'm sure there's still some of you out there who do, but also be able to share them with myself and learn from them and grow from them even more. Yeah, I mean, things didn't work out for this channel the way that I hoped they would. Um, but I'm proud of it. I'm proud of where I am. I'm proud of what I've become. I'm proud of who I've become. Um, and I'm going back to Oregon. That's kind of crazy to think about. That's kind of crazy to say out loud. I've been trying to sort of like live in denial about it, and it never really feels real to me. But I am moving. I'm going back, and if I look past all of the doubt and the fear and the anxiety, and the guilt, I think at the end of it all, I'm pretty excited. Um, I don't know what the future's going to hold for me up there, but I think I have a better chance of being happier up there than I do down here. And I miss my granny tremendously, and it feels bad. It feels awful to leave this place knowing that I'm sort of leaving behind all of the memories that her and I shared, the legacy that she left behind. Um, every single corner of this room, I could tell you that there's some form of memory that I've had attached to this place for so long. But I've had a chance to really think about it. I've had a chance to talk with my friends about it, my family, and I think sort of the consensus among everybody is you're not really leaving her behind, right? They would say to me, you're not leaving behind her legacy or her memory because that goes with you. And I know that sounds like a cliche, but it's true. Like that memory travels with you no matter where you are, no matter who you are, you're always shaped by your past in some way or another. You're always shaped by those people who made a very big impact on your life. And I think about sort of, the wise quote of like, you when you lose somebody, you mourn them twice, right? First, you mourn the actual passing of them, and then you mourn sort of like the things that start to disappear slowly over time, like their favorite items or the house, right? Certain elements of who they were and the life that they lived eventually erode away until there isn't much left. And I think that part hurts so much more than the actual losing of the person. So I'm getting through that. I'm getting through that part of it as much as I can. It's not easy. It was never going to be easy, but it happened, and it was bound to happen eventually. I mean, that's sort of the natural order of things, right? Like parents and grandparents should never have to bury their kid. As kids, as children of somebody else, we bear the burden, right, of the loss. That's the way it should be. That's the way succession doesn't always work like that. And I would argue it's a much bigger tragedy when it doesn't work like that. When it's the other way around, it's such a bigger loss and such a bigger tragedy for the entire family that's involved. So I mean, it's not a surprise. I saw it coming, um, and it's been 3 years since she's passed. Um, and that's also very weird to say. you know, uh, this used to be her room, and my partner and I have done a lot to make sure that this place looks and feels like our place, and it did, and it has, and it's done a great job being that space for us. It's been a very cozy 3 years. It's been tough, for sure. Um, but we've had this space to ourselves, and we've had a lot of memories that we've made, which I don't actually, strangely enough, I don't feel too bad about leaving those behind. I guess because they're more recent, and because I know that like my partner's coming with me, like to we're gonna be fine. We're gonna make more memories elsewhere. Um, so I'm not super worried about that aspect, but this house, when I was born in a hospital nearby, and this was the first place that I ended up. And that room across from me, the room that I've done several recordings in, like years and years worth of recordings, the vast majority of the recordings on this channel were in that room. And that's really impactful. That's a big deal to leave that behind. All of that history, that's a big deal. Um, it's yeah, it's not light. It's not a light thing to process. But facing these feelings and this turmoil and some of these sort of like the struggles, I'm actually kind of glad in a way that I'm having time to process this. I feel like if I just jumped off the off the boat and just started going, granted we are moving a lot quicker than I was prepared. I was not ready for this. But I'm getting ready. I still have enough time that I think mentally I can keep myself kind of prepared and ready to go. Um, but just the fact that I have this time to kind of sit with this and process it and look back on some of the videos of around the same time that I came here, like sunrise, sunset kind of thing. At least for this 10-year stint, right? There was a lot of points in my life where I came back here as a kid, um, and spent a few years here growing up. Um, but looking at this as an adult, like from the moment that I got here at 20 to now leaving at 31, um, that's a lot of time. That's a lot of formative time. And I remember how like final everything felt. I think when you're younger, everything is so much more dramatic because you don't have the experience to go back on and be like, "Oh yeah, okay. Look, I know what's coming. I know how to handle this thing. I've got this under control." You don't have a lot of that confidence, and some people have more of it than others. At 20 I had none of it. I had zero confidence. I had very little life experience. Um and now at 31, it's really interesting to go through all of this because if anything, this entire experience teaches me that nothing is final. Nothing is stagnant. Everything changes. The world is in constant flux. We are in a constant state of disarray and confusion, and just kind of fumbling through life, not really knowing what we're doing. And through all of the noise, all of the like political banter and the drama and the fighting and the yelling and the screaming and there is an interesting sort of sense of camaraderie that I feel when I think about that fact that like at the end of the day, now that I am really like adult TM, you know, it's interesting that every adult kind of feels like this to some extent. Nobody knows what the fuck is going on. Nobody. Nobody has anything figured out right now, and they never will. And those who say that they have it figured out are lying to themselves and they're lying to you, and they're doing it because they're insecure and they're scared of the realization that at any time anything can change like that. And I think the important lesson that I need to learn from all of this, that I hope that others can kind of glean just by watching the video, is to go with that change, to be part of that change. I've wanted this for so long, and yet I still feel so much guilt and paranoia around the move. Um, and that's crazy. Like that's silly. It doesn't do me any good. It doesn't help me at all. It makes everything so much harder. Um, but it is the way that I feel, and I have to kind of sit with those feelings and process them. But I think that a lot of times we can be so scared of change that even the thing that we wanted to change so desperately, once it shows up right in our laps, it's very scary. It's a very scary thing. And I think that if you're somebody who hasn't had a lot of change, who's had a pretty stagnant life, I mean, my life's been kind of tumultuous with like the early childhood. I moved around a lot, but the last 11 years I've been put in this exact same house in this same spot, just doing my thing, right? Going to school, studying, working, finding meaning in life. All of that happened here, and leaving all of that behind is very scary. Very scary. I don't think I was ever ready for how scary it was, but then again, I don't think I would ever be. And so, with kind of a heavy heart and a little tinge of excitement, I'm here to announce formally that I'm going to Oregon. I'm going back. Um, and I'm yep. I'm scared, but I wanted to get this out there because I want to look back on it one day. This video is purely for me, by the way, not for you guys. Sorry. Um, I will still make it public. Maybe somebody can learn something from this. Maybe somebody can glean something, or maybe somebody has some solid advice for me. Um, Maybe that would be cool. I sure would appreciate it. But above all else, I know I say this a lot in a lot of videos. Those of you that have stuck around until this very moment, thank you. I appreciate it a lot. I look again. I look back at that young guy who wanted this so bad, and it's funny because a lot of that I was like, oh man, like I said, like I was really good looking, I was charming, and now I've kind of lost some of that because I've gotten older and fatter and and like that's just what happens when you. By the way, sorry kids, sorry to break it to you, teenagers watching this or young adults. Yeah, you're gonna get old and you're gonna get fat. It's gonna happen. Sorry, there's no avoiding it. It's inevitable. It's no getting past this. I used to laugh at Homer Simpson when I was a kid, and now I relate to him so much. But at the same time, that young guy was also really awkward and weird and geeky and lanky and confused and trying to figure the world out. And one thing I like about being in my 30s is or at least my early 30s, I like that I still have a good amount of energy left in me, but I also have a great deal of wisdom behind me to make good decisions and to be, I don't know, more socially responsive, more confident, and I think that shows a lot in the videos that I make now versus the videos that I've made, 10 or 11 years ago, is sort of this level of confidence that I have now, that took a very long time to work at, but I've done it, and I'm pretty proud of myself for that, and thank you for being part of that whole journey. Um, I wish I could have made more stuff. Maybe I will. I don't know. We'll see. I've got a lot of other stuff I'm working on. If you don't know, by the way, hi, welcome back. Hi, how's it going? I know it's been a little while, but I have some projects that I'm working on right now. Namely, I'm working on a podcast with Keenan, my best buddy, who is quite a highlight in this channel. I would say you've seen Keenan. If you've watched my videos, you've seen Keenan. But we're working on a podcast. We've been working on it for about 2 years now. It's called Project Grind. There's a link available right now in the description of this video. Go check it out. I'd appreciate it. I think you'll like it too. Um, I have a lot of plans with that project because it's something that sort of sits outside of me. It's not really like me focused. It's something that I can sort of like. There's that hair again. What the hell? It's something that I can like pour more time and attention into for the greater good of the project, right? Like that's something I've always wanted to do. It's something I've talked about a few times on this channel. Is like I'm not really necessarily interested in the ego of it all. I don't want to be the next PewDiePie or XQC and make a bunch of money because of my face. I want to make something that means something. I want to make something that matters. And so, working on something like this, where it's this bigger project, it sits outside of me. There's perhaps like educational value attached to it. I think is very cool. For those of you that don't know, we talk about cryptozoology. We talk about horror stories. Creepy pastas, things that are made on the internet. We also talk about ghosts occasionally. So there's a lot to unpack with a lot of the things that we talk about, and it's a lot of fun. It's fun. It's kind of pseudo educational. We also just talk a lot about like how our lives are going. So if you're into vlogs like this, um, go check out the podcast. It's basically like one giant like visual one long vlog without the V is what I'm trying to say. And we also talk about spooky stuff intermixed and all of that. So, with that, thank you guys. I appreciate you watching this. It's gonna be a rough one. It's gonna be a rough couple weeks. I can already tell. But I hope that I am on the other side of it stronger. And if I have time, I'll post another update and let you guys know the background will be completely different. I'll be in a very different place, mentally and physically. And we'll just go from there. Thanks, guys. I'll see you in the next one.